Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to attend this webinar. We have a lot of people registered for today's webinar, and we are very excited to have such a great turnout. Before we get started, I just want to give you a quick intro into my background and my role at HIMSS. My name is Michelle Paley, and I take care of a lot of the marketing aspects of things at HIMSS, the website, the emails, these webinars, of course. Normally in the background, so I'm excited to be a little bit more vocal today and to have a voice that's heard today. Um, as far as my background, I was the product manager at EnableMart for a little over 3 years. And when it was time to make a change, James McCarthy here at HIMSS was actually my very first call. I knew I wanted to join the HIMSS team for a number of reasons, but mostly it's because when I was selling the HIMSS product line at EnableMart, I identified this as a company that really listens to its customers and engineers its products to really fit their needs. Plus, it was just a wonderful team of people whom I've always loved working with. And so I was very excited when James finally said he had a spot open for me. So to jump right into the content of today's webinar, we are going to cover a number of topics. First thing we'll cover is some of the ways that you can save some training time or some frustrations by pairing assistive technology with iPads, tablets, or smartphones that might already be in use. It can help lower the resistance and the fear factor of using a new product for someone who's a little bit more timid about learning new things. And we'll talk about some ways that we can make assistive technology a little bit less scary to those who maybe aren't as comfortable with technology in general. And then we will make some recommendations for specific devices and explain specifically what it is that makes them easier to use, what features make them easier to use. And then we will go over a few tips for selecting the best possible device or solution for your specific user. A lot of times, assistive technology isn't a one-size-fits-all situation, so we have some ways for you to identify which products and which features are going to be just right for your specific user, for your friends, your family, your clients, and your students. And then we'll also share some ideas for helping to get users excited about a new device right away so that hopefully they will embrace it and use it more right from the start. So the first topic today, we're going to talk about why pairing assistive technology with a tablet or a smartphone can help decrease the learning curve or decrease a little bit of that fear from anyone who's not that comfortable with technology. The chart on the screen right here shows the global device penetration per capita. And that's only up through 2013, but the curve continues obviously through 2014. What we see right off the bat is that 1 in 5 people in the whole world own a smartphone or a tablet. And that's worldwide. It includes nations that are underdeveloped and things like that. So I thought that was a really impressive number. Here in America, actually, 1 in 3 adults owns a tablet. And if you take into account, of course, the students and the adolescents, it's a lot higher than 1 in 3 people that actually owns a tablet if you count the children. The interesting thing also about this graph is you look at it, you'll see that the smartphone use has actually surpassed the PC use by quite a bit, and that curve is quite sharp. So we're going to see increases in smartphone use, especially in the senior population that might have been resistant to having a smartphone previously. We're seeing a lot of those users now are adopting that technology. And so because of that, they're a little bit more familiar with the controls of pinch and swipe and zoom and things like that that are going to translate into their use for assistive technology. So this slide shows some of the reasons that pairing an assistive technology device with a tablet or a phone can help reduce the learning curve or the frustration level. like we saw in the chart, almost 30% of American adults and probably 99.999% of kids and adolescents, most of these people already know the basic operations. They know they can pinch to make things smaller. They can move their fingers apart to make things larger. They know how to swipe. They know how to tap. So they've got the basic controls and the basic hand gestures down for doing a lot of the controls for some of these devices that do pair with an iPad or a smartphone. The other nice thing is, too, that they are at least somewhat familiar with or comfortable with some technology. We're not taking people who have never used anything more advanced than their television and throwing them into a new arena. If they already use that technology, we should build on that. Going into that too, pairing an AT device with a familiar device is a lot less daunting to the user. You're not introducing an entirely new device with a whole new set of controls, with a whole different concept of use. You're simply giving them a new way to use something they already have exposure to. And that really is very big. And the other thing too that we should touch on, it doesn't just save time for the user, it will save time for the trainer as well. I know we've got a lot of assistive technology specialists on the webinar today, and your time is increasingly valuable as well. You have a lot of clients and they need a lot of your time. Pairing things up so that they can decrease the learning time saves them time, it saves them frustration, and it saves your time as well. So on this screen, we have some of the things that we hear most often from kids and adults, some of the reasons that they maybe don't want to embrace a new technology or just don't want to use it in public where people can see them. And I think some of these actually cross the generation barrier. I think a lot of adults will say some of the same things the kids will say and vice versa. But some of the things that we hear most often from kids especially are that people look at me funny when I use a magnifier or a braille display. They don't want to be using things that other kids aren't using. So they say, I want to do it like everyone else. So we'll have kids that don't want to use a magnifier. They want to struggle through. They want to use bold print. They want to hold the paper right up to their face. And they tell us, I don't care if it takes longer my way, I want to do it like everyone else. From the adults, a lot of times what we hear is they say that they're too old to learn something so new and so different. Or they'll say, I already got a smartphone, I don't need any more gadgets. Or that people patronize them when they see that they're visually impaired and thus they don't want to use assistive technology in front of people or in public because they just don't want the attention, they don't want to be patronized. So we have a few ways to combat those issues and to try to build enthusiasm for new technology. The first is to identify the ways that they use their current technology. If they're using a smartphone, if they're using an iPad, you can draw similarities between the two. Even if you're drawing a similarity from something that's low tech to high tech, for example, a lens magnifier is not completely different from a handheld video magnifier. They both have a screen that magnifies. They both have a handle that you can hold, and you use them in very similar ways. The difference being that the handheld magnifier obviously has options and buttons that the lens magnifier does not. But that would be one example of kind of making that connection between a familiar piece of technology and a new piece of technology. You also can be careful to identify pain points in the user's daily life and use those pain points as a first teaching moment. I would recommend not waiting until after teaching the basics. A lot of people want to start with the orientation of a device. You show them the controls, you show them the options. A lot of times that can be overwhelming. And I think at some point in your training, you're going to go through that orientation either way. But I would recommend taking one relatable use on day one before you even do the orientation. Say, for example, if you have someone who likes to write handwritten letters or someone who likes to knit, or if you know that they have a hobby that's been a little difficult for them, show them on day one, even if you just demonstrate for a minute or two, show them first what they can do that benefits them in their life and then dive into the basics and the buttons and everything else. But if you can get them excited about at least one use, It's going to help to bring that resistance down and bring the enthusiasm up. And then another tip too is to choose products that look and feel like mainstream technology. In the AT industry in general, it seems like there are a lot of products that were created in people's garages and honestly look like they were created in people's garages. If you can choose a product that looks like a smartphone, choose a product that looks like something that belongs in a modern workplace, that belongs in a modern school, these products are much more likely to be used in front of other students, in front of other people, than products that look very strange and different and will get looks from other people. And then the other thing to keep in mind also is that in today's society, technology is everywhere, and we need to remember that all technology is assistive technology. Your smartphone is assistive technology. It helps you to schedule, it helps you to communicate, it helps people without disabilities to do all of these things. And to maybe point that out to the user when they're scared about a new type of technology, maybe point out that they're already using assistive technology. It's not a new term. They're not special because they need assistive technology. We all use assistive technology. We use it differently and we use different products. So we're going to go into some specific product suggestions. I've already kind of made a connection between the lens magnifier and a handheld video magnifier. We're going to talk specifically about the Candy 5 HD and what makes it easy to learn and easy to use. Obviously, it looks like a lens magnifier. You use it very similarly to the way that you use a lens magnifier, which most people who are visually impaired already have at home and are already using. The nice thing about the Candy 5 HD is that it can be used 3 different ways. You can use it with the handle extended, like we show at the top of this slide, and in that aspect, it is very much like a lens magnifier. You can fold that stand under, you can fold the handle underneath, and there's a little kickstand on the back so that you can rest it directly on the paper and to use it on the paper like that and slide it across. Also, our Candy 5, another unique feature is that it comes with a reading stand included. So that bottom picture, you can kind of see the curved white stand that it sits on. That's included with your purchase. It comes in the box. It gives you a little wider frame of focus so you can get a little bit more on the screen. So whatever use that you're using it or however they're comfortable, if they have a tremor in their hand and they're more comfortable putting it on the paper, they can do that. And this is a very versatile magnifier to do things like that. The other nice thing about the Candy 5 is that the buttons are large, tactile buttons. You can feel them. They're also not overwhelming. There are only a few buttons on here. And on most days, you're really only going to use 4 of these buttons. You're going to use the increase magnifier, you're going to decrease the magnification, you're going to change the color mode, and possibly use that little button on the handle to freeze the picture on the screen. The big orange button is a focus button, which in most cases you won't need. That's just if you're writing under the camera, for example, the autofocus may try to focus on your hand instead of the paper, and you can override that with the orange button. But on most days, you're going to be limited to basically 3 or 4 buttons, which makes it, again, super simple to use. Some of the other features on this Candy 5 is that it will magnify all the way from 1x all the way up to 22x. It has an autofocus camera. It's an HD camera, so it's a very, very good picture on this. There are 5 background and text color modes. These are programmable, which means that your user, if they get overwhelmed by having the 5 choices, you can narrow it down to the 2 or 3 choices that they will use, the color combinations that work best for them, so that you can take some of those options out and a few of the controls that might overwhelm them, you can take them right out. The other unique thing about the Candy 5 is that it does magnify at a near distance. So if you are, say, at a bus terminal and you need to look at a sign on the wall, if you're at an airport and you need to check the arrivals on that screen across the hallway, you can use this to check things at a near distance like that. And the other great thing about this is that it is super portable and very discreet. So you can put it in your purse, you can put it in your bag and take it with you wherever you go. Our next product suggestion is the EBot, and we have 3 models actually. We have the EBot Standard, we have the EBot Advanced, and the EBot Pro. I'm going to talk today about the Advanced and the Pro because the standard model does not have the OCR option. And I think for most users, they're going to want the OCR option and they're going to want the voice guide, which does not come in the standard model. The voice guide really helps this to be a lot easier to use because it tells you what button you're pushing, it tells you what menu item you're on, it explains a lot of what you're doing while you're using the device. The other nice thing about the EBot, and one of its biggest selling features, is that it works with familiar devices. You can pair the EBot to a tablet, to a PC, to a Mac, to a TV, to a monitor, whatever is already in the home, whatever is already in the workplace or the schoolroom, the EBot can pair with it either wirelessly or over an HDMI or USB cable. It's going to use very familiar controls. If you pair it to a tablet, you're able to pinch and move your fingers apart to zoom and zoom in and zoom out. You're able to swipe to change the colors. You can tap or hold down a finger to start the OCR. And the other really cool thing about this is that it is very lightweight and easy to transport. The picture at the bottom of the screen shows what the EBot looks like when it's folded up. It's a little larger than the size of a sheet of paper and maybe 2 inches tall. It only weighs 5 to 7 pounds depending on the model. And it's very easy to take this from home to the office, on vacation, to school, anywhere that you need it. And again, the advantage of being able to transport something is that you don't need a different piece of technology at home and at the office. If your employer buys you a product, you can take it home. If the school buys a product, you can take it home. Or if you have one at home and you're familiar with it, being able to take it back and forth, that means you're learning one device and not two. And that instantly cuts your learning time in half because it's one device and not two. Some of the other specifications for the EBot are at the bottom of this slide. Obviously, it will change the color and text combinations, just like any magnifier will. We have 8 color combinations. They are programmable. So again, if they only need 1 or 2 combinations, you can take out the rest and simplify the use in that way. It magnifies from 0.8x to 97x or more, and that's an important selling point as well. The EBot, when you connect it to a television screen, for example, if you connect it to an 80-inch television screen, the level of magnification is going to be much higher than 97x. So it really depends on what you attach the EBot to, how big the magnification will go. It does have the OCR built in. The nice thing about the OCR and the unique thing about the OCR on the EBot is that you don't have to connect it to a computer. It doesn't need any additional software. It doesn't need to be connected to any other devices. The OCR, the voices, all of the brains, I like to say, are built right in. So even if you don't even have a monitor connected at all, if you have the EBot Advanced or the EBot Pro, with a touch of one button, it will start reading a document aloud to you. The other very cool thing about the EBot is that there is a lot of space beneath the camera to do crafts, to put 3D objects. So you could put a box of food under there, a can of soup, for example. You could read the directions on a bottle of medication. It does really, really well with 3D items like that. Our next suggestion is the Blaze EZ, which is one of the new products for 2014 that people, it seems like they just can't stop talking about it. And we're very excited about it, and it makes sense that everyone is talking about this product. What makes it easy to use, it is a daisy player. So if you're familiar with a daisy player, it does do daisy and your digital books, your ebooks. It plays music, it plays the radio. One of the best parts about this unit is the simplified controls. You can see from the picture here that it has only a few buttons really on the face of the device as compared to some other devices that have a lot of buttons and numbers and things like that. Across the top, you'll see the record button is right there up front. There's a single button to access the music, the radio, and the books. And at the bottom right-hand corner is a single button to access the OCR, which is another very cool feature of the Blaze EZ. It has built-in OCR. You don't need to connect it to a computer. You don't need internet access. If you want to read something that's in print, you simply hold it above the item that you want to read, steady your hands, and click the OCR button. There's a stand that comes with it, so if you have shaky hands or you just would rather use it with a stand, oh, I'm sorry, the stand is additional. It comes in the options pack. There's an options pack that contains an extra battery, an extra AC cord, and also the stand. But you can use that if your hands are shaky or if you're just more comfortable putting it in a stand. You can use that to get a very crisp picture every time that you use it. What else makes this easier to use is that it will feel similar to those who have used books on tape. So if you have seniors that first look at this, or anyone really who looks at this and says, wow, that looks different. If you draw the similarities between this and a tape recorder, I mean, it's not all that far-fetched. You have your options to play and pause. You have your options to skip ahead. I know a lot of people who enjoy books on tape have gone into books on CD. So this shouldn't be that far a stretch from that type of a device into this type of a device. Some of the other features and specifications, we want to note that this does play a wide variety of file formats. All of your music formats, your Word documents, PDFs, HTML documents, obviously the DAISY, the eBook formats. And the other nice thing about this for both the trainer and the user is that it potentially replaces 2 devices with 1 purchase. So this is going to save you both time and money. Because of the built-in OCR, a lot of people right now are using a book player and a scanner. They've got one of those big bulky things that sit on the desktop to read their mail, to scan and read their mail out loud or other printed documents. This really does replace kind of 2 of those devices in 1 purchase. So again, it's going to save you money because you don't have to buy 2 products, but it's going to save you a ton of training time because you don't have to learn 2 devices. Once you learn how to use the Blaze EZ, you have all of those functions that are built in at your fingertips. So we're going to go into the Braille Edge next, and some of the reasons that this makes it easy to learn and use. And I should start by saying that if you have someone who already reads Braille, this is easy to learn and to use. It also could make learning Braille easier or more relevant to a student who doesn't maybe understand why he wants to learn Braille. When you connect the Braille Edge to your computer, you can then use the Braille Edge to control your PC, your Mac, your smartphone. They can navigate a tablet. You can use it to simply take notes in class when it's not hooked up to any outside device. And because of that connectivity, because you can use it with such a vast range of other technologies, it actually can make the use of less accessible products more accessible. For example, if they are using an iPhone and they're tapping around or using Siri to send a text message, I think we all know that Siri gets it wrong probably 20% of the time or greater, depending on the background noise. Typing a text message with the Braille Edge or typing an email into your smartphone is exponentially easier with a Braille Edge than it is trying to tap around on the telephone or trying to explain to Siri and make sure that she got it right when you talk to her. Because you can connect this to so many different devices, you also means that the same commands can be used across multiple devices. So you don't have to use a different command on your Android phone and your PC and your Mac. You can connect this one device to all of them. And a lot of the same button combinations are going to do the same things on different devices. So that, again, cuts down on the learning curve when working with other devices and PCs and things. And it also is very easy to switch between devices without moving. So I know a lot of people enjoy the fact that their phone can be completely across the room, and if they're working on their computer using the Braille Edge and they hear that a text message comes in, they can quickly switch over, answer the text message, answer the email on their phone, and then get back to their work on their computer. This does have some basic note-taking features built in. You could put some reading material on here and take it with you on the go, and you can read in Braille in a taxi, on a bus, on the way to school, on the way to work. You can use this to take notes in a meeting or take notes in a class. It'll be inconspicuous. It can go on your lap. It can go on the table. And it has a very long battery life. It's got up to 20 hours of battery life. And the terminal clipboard is the last feature that we want to mention. What Terminal Clipboard does is it allows you to compose a paragraph of text or a block of text on the Braille Edge and then send it as one complete group to your iPhone, to your email, to your document on the other device. So that allows you to compose in an environment that is friendlier to Braille use. And the last product we're going to touch on today, this is the Braille Sent U2. In itself is a little bit more technical product, but there are some reasons that using the Braille Sent U2 can make other devices easier to use. And also within its genre, the Braille Sent U2 is a lot more useful and a lot easier to use than a lot of the competing products out there. So we'll go through this pretty quickly. One of the things that makes it very easy to learn and use is the fact that we have built-in apps for productivity and social media. We have created our own special apps for Dropbox, YouTube, Twitter, uh, Facebook, Excel, PowerPoint, and Word that allow the user to access the most common features much more quickly. It allows you to post to Facebook, for example, without having to filter through all of the other visual elements on the typical Facebook web page. For Dropbox also, it just gives you a super easy way for a teacher to drop a homework assignment into Dropbox. The student can pull it down. It's a lot easier than trying to put things in and out with SD cards and connect things and worry about any issues in between there. It also, just like the Braille Edge, can be connected to a tablet, a PC, or a Mac, or a smartphone. And you can use the Braille Sense U2 to control all of those devices as well. So it also, you can put it into a mode where it will be working much like a Braille display, in addition to the features that are already built in. The other nice thing about this is that it has built-in GPS, it has a compass, and the Google Maps are all in there. And those aren't just added features. Those will, in fact, save you time as well, because whenever you have a student or an individual who's mastered the Braille Sense U2, when you add in the use of the GPS and the compass, you're not, again, throwing a new piece of technology at them. You're giving them a new use on technology that they're already comfortable with. We're going to touch on some tips for selecting the best product for your specific user. We want you to observe the technology that's already in use and select new assistive technology or add-on assistive technology that is compatible for use in combination with familiar items or similar to those which are already in use. For example, if you have an individual who doesn't use any technology, they don't have a smartphone, they don't have a tablet, they're not fond of using computers, almost everyone in America has a television, and almost all televisions these days come with a remote control. So the EBot, for example, comes with a remote control. That might feel similar to some people who use a television. They can use that remote control to increase the magnification and decrease magnification, very much like they increase and decrease the volume. So we can draw that conclusion between the two devices. So you'll want to look at the products they already use. And then you want to observe the pain points in their daily life. Are they having trouble reading medication? Are they having trouble getting their homework done in a timely manner? Are they having trouble finding ways to take notes at work? So look for these pain points in daily life and find an immediate need that you can solve very quickly for that user to encourage their further use of your technology. And whenever possible, solve multiple needs in one purchase. You're going to save money, you're going to save their time when they're learning and fumbling through at the beginning, and you're going to save your time in training and helping them to get started, because one item is obviously easier to learn than two. And then here's a big point we want to make sure that we mention is to not default to past purchases for new clients. A lot of times, if a trainer or family member is already familiar with one product, it's really easy to support that product and it's easy to make a recommendation for the user to use that product, but it may not be the best for all of your users. The other thing too, technology changes over time. So the product that was the best or was the one size fits most last year may no longer be the one size fits most this year. So obviously, taking a look at new products, find out what new features have become available, maybe on some older products. The same solutions just don't always work for different people. And here's a really big suggestion, and I think applies to most cases: try before you buy. This is a very important purchase. It can change the life of the person who's using the technology, and it also is a very expensive purchase. And something people don't often consider also is the added cost of switching to a new product later if you pick the wrong one now. Often adds to your financial and your time expense. So you'll want to consider that it is easier to try it before you buy it than to buy it, get the refund, go without the device for a while, picking a new device and going through that added hassle. And if you need help, call the phone numbers on the screen. It's 888-520-4467, or email us at sales@himsinc.com, and we can tell you who in your area can provide a real life demo at your school or business office. We can tell you who can come out and give you that demo hands on so you can try it before you buy it. And another great idea, very important with any purchase of any device, is to buy from a reputable company, and like HIMS has an impeccable US based support. When you're selecting an assistive device, you want to ask the dealer or the manufacturer who you can call if you have trouble setting it up or getting started. Find out if you're going to be able to reach a live person during working hours, and find out if there are people in your community who are familiar with the device who can help you get started in person or by phone or by remoting in. And you want to find out also what is the procedure if your product needs a tune-up or a repair. If you need to send it overseas, there may be additional taxes, there could be delays. You'll want to find out how long does a typical repair take, and you want to ask how long is your warranty. And another great question, especially for students or people who are using this technology in a workplace who really can't afford to be without it, you'll want to ask if a loaner unit is available while it's being fixed, or if they have some sort of a rental program where you can have a device in use even while yours is being fixed or tuned up. So I'm going to open it up now for some questions and answers. You can type your questions into the chat window at the bottom right of the screen. Or if you'd prefer to ask aloud, I will unmute everyone in just a minute. And I see that we have two people typing questions in. I'll just wait for them to come fully across. First question here is from Jean. With the Blaze EZ, about how much recording time can be done? I'm thinking about a person who wants to dictate stories, which can get long. The Blaze EZ, I don't know the exact spec, but I can get them for you and email you after the webinar. But it does have quite a bit of storage capacity. It has some onboard storage, and it also has a slot for an SD memory card. So the amount of storage is going to depend on the SD card that you use with it. And I think the rule with SD cards is about 10 hours per gigabyte of storage on the SD card. So that will give you some idea. And then also, if that SD card gets kind of filled up, you can obviously move that to a PC, clear out room to continue using it. Kathleen asked, how is the scanner function on the Blaze EZ used? So the Blaze EZ, the real trick to that is just to kind of center that over a page. If you have a tabletop, for example, if you're at a restaurant without the stand, the best way to do it is to put your elbows on the table and to center the Blaze as best you can over the middle of the paper or the menu that you're trying to read. And then you push the OCR button just once, and that's the button at the very bottom right, so it's easy to find. You push that button once, and it will say that it will tell you out loud that it's going into OCR mode. When you push it a second time, you'll hear a snap, like a camera snap sound. You wait a few seconds, and then it begins to read out loud, and that's pretty much it. With the stand, it's very similar, except that you would just rest the Blaze in the stand. You put the paper on the table. You can line it up to the bottom of the stand. You can feel where the paper is. You can feel where the stand is. And again, you push the OCR button once to enter OCR mode, and it will tell you aloud that it is in that mode. And you push it a second time, wait for the sound of the camera, and a few seconds later, it will read out loud to you. And Jane Bush says, what are the costs of these items? So these products vary in cost all the way from around $500 up to about $2,000 or $3,000 depending on the product. If you go on our website, at the very top, you'll see the navigation menu. If you go across to products and then scroll down in the left-hand column, you'll come down to our price list. All of the prices are listed there on the website. So again, go to the website, click on products across the top, and scroll down on the left and click on price list, and all of that information is there. On the EBot, how far a distance does it cover? The EBot, I can't believe I missed that. The EBot does magnify both near and far. The camera, when you turn it around to face, for example, in a classroom, if you turn it to face the whiteboard, we've used it 20 to 30 feet up. I don't know that there's really a limit to how far a distance it will cover. The limit is going to be how much magnification you get for the distance. So you could have a student in the back of the room using the EBot and get a good magnification from the whiteboard or bulletin board, but obviously if that student sits closer and the distance between the camera and the material itself is smaller to start with, you will get a greater range of magnification simply because you don't have to magnify that far. I think the actual spec for the EBot is that it will magnify 6 times zoom at a distance. We have a lot of questions today. I'm excited about that. I like when I'm not the only one talking. Dexter asked, 12 gigabytes on device. Oh, I think he's answering about the Blaze Easy for me. Thank you, Dexter. Dexter says that the Blaze Easy has 12 gigabytes of storage on the device and can accept up to 32 gigabyte card inside as well for additional storage. And then Jane also says she would like us to describe how the Candy 5 can perform the self-view option. So that's another unique feature of the Candy 5. That's the handheld video magnifier. It does have a self-view mode. It actually has a second camera, and it's a camera just like your iPhone has a camera that faces away from you, and then it has a camera that faces you for doing selfies. The Candy 5 has a camera that faces you, and you can use that for applying makeup. You can use that for shaving. Anytime that you need to, I don't know, check your teeth before you go into a business meeting. But it's really just one button that you push, and it activates that camera that faces you instead of the camera that faces away. And Karen is asking, what is the farthest distance that the Candy 5 HD can be used? And it should be said too that the Candy 5 is not intended for, say, a student in a classroom to view the whiteboard. You don't really want to use it for a true distance situation. But if it's a near distance, if you're maybe, 5 or 6 feet away from what you're trying to look at, a good example would be in a classroom if you're looking at a bulletin board and you want to check the calendar, or you're looking at a periodic table of the elements that's on the side of a classroom. Possibly the menu overhead at McDonald's, a thing like that. But that would be kind of the distance that that's intended to be used for. Oh, and thank you, Kim. Kim says, thank you. This is a very informative webinar. If you want more information about any of these products, definitely visit our website at www.hims-inc.com. And we also have some new videos about the Blaze on our YouTube channel. So if you go to our website at the very top right, you'll see a link to YouTube, and that takes you right to our YouTube channel. And you can see we have a series of 3 different videos that go into the basic functions of the Blaze EZ, and then into some of probably what I would consider intermediate functions of the Blaze EZ. It's a very easy to use device, so nothing in those videos is going to go over your head if you want to take a look at that. And then we've got some information about our next webinar topic, which is going to be tips for using AT for safer and easier independent travel. We'll have a couple of people on the line who will share their tips for things that they actually do on their trips by plane, by train, by boat. They'll share with you some of the things that they do when they're traveling with assistive technology. We have 2 people typing, so we'll stay on the line and see what they put in. Sherry Katz said, can you describe how the EBot functions with a tablet? It's actually pretty easy with it. If you're using the eBot with a tablet, either an iPad or an Android tablet, the first thing you want to do is download our app from the Google Store or from iTunes, and it is, or the app stores. I'm sorry. It's a free app. It doesn't cost you anything to download that app. Once that is installed, to pair the eBot to the tablet, first, make sure obviously that the EBot is turned on. The EBot actually puts out its own little Wi-Fi network, so you don't need the internet. The EBot will put out its own Wi-Fi network once it's turned on. When you go into your iPad or your Android tablet, just go in to the settings area where you would normally connect it to the Wi-Fi in your school or the Wi-Fi in your house. When you go into there, you will see a Wi-Fi network called EBot and then likely something with a number in case you have multiple EBots in an area. You select that EBot Wi-Fi network, and that's how you connect the tablet to the EBot. So it gives you a good, strong connection. It's fast, so you can use your hands underneath or you can move the paper around, and you'll see that the refresh rate is very good over that connection. Once you open the app, it will immediately show you what is under the camera of the eBot, or if you've got it facing away from you, it will come right up and it'll give you that view. And then Cynthia said, I've been using a BookSense for several years. Is the Blaze a similar product, but just with the OCR? And yes, Blaze is very similar to the BookSense. It just has the addition of OCR, and it also has a much simplified control panel. So the BookSense, on the front of the BookSense, you have the number keypad and a lot of other buttons. The Blaze has similar buttons along the side for the volume and increasing the rate and the tone, but the front is simplified so that you have the three buttons to access radio, music, and books, and the button at the bottom for OCR. And then instead of the numbered keypad, you have a sort of a compass rows of buttons. You have an up, a down, a left, a right, and a select. And so that it's very, very easy to use that way. Vicky asked, how do I get training on various devices? I would recommend that you call our office or email sales@hims-inc.com, and they can put you in touch with a dealer in your area who can do the training for you. If you're in the local Austin area, we can probably have one of our guys come out and train you. But outside of the Austin area, we have dealers all across the country that are very familiar with the products and can do a great training with you. Sherry Katz said, so the tablet becomes the monitor. I think she's talking about the eBot, when you use the eBot with the tablet. And yes, that is one thing that really makes the eBot different from other products. There are a lot of products that say they work with the tablet. And it's important to note that what they actually do is they magnify the tablet onto the screen of another device. So they'll magnify your 7-inch tablet screen onto a 32-inch monitor. We actually kind of do the reverse. We'll magnify your printed materials, or if you're in a classroom, we'll magnify what you're looking at a distance, and the tablet is the screen. And again, that's a nice thing about the eBot, is that you can pair it with a tablet in a classroom where you have a limited amount of desk space. And the nice thing too with a tablet is that you can pull that tablet up to your face, where if you're using a 32-inch monitor, for example, you can't exactly pull that monitor up to your face. But for a student or someone in a workplace to be able to pull that iPad all the way to their face is a really nice feature. But yes, the tablet becomes the monitor and also becomes the control panel if you don't want to use the remote control. Helen is asking, is what you compared with the BookSense also the same with the Victor Stream? So yes, the BookSense and the Victor Stream are similar devices to the Blaze EZ. And then Sherry asked, how portable is the eBot monitor? She says not the monitor, but the footprint of the eBot. It is very portable. I kind of compare it to kind of a small shirt box. When you go to the mall and you buy a shirt and it comes in that box, it's actually a little bit smaller than that, but the height is about the same. The eBot Advanced is only going to weigh, I think it's 5 to 7 pounds, and the eBot Pro is a few pounds more than that. So it's very portable, and it also comes with its own carrying case, which is really nice. It's a case that's specially made to house the EBot to keep it safe. It's a very small, it's not a huge thing to carry around, and you can use it either as a shoulder bag or a backpack. It comes with both straps, so you can use it either way. And the actual weight on the eBot, I just found out the advanced is 5 pounds and the Pro model is 6.5 pounds. So both very lightweight and easy to carry with you if you've got a laptop or anything else that you're carrying, or just to take it with you without a monitor. If you're just using it for the OCR, you really don't need a monitor at all. And again, if you have any questions about comparing different products, if you're using a Victor Stream right now, or if you're using a BookSense right now and you want to know how that compares with some of this new technology, or even with the eBot, if you're using a different desktop magnifier, maybe one that comes with a screen. I know a lot of them come with a screen and you carry them around almost in a suitcase because they're very heavy with the screen attached. If you'd like to make any comparisons between some things that you're using now and some of these new products, definitely call our tech support or call our sales line. The local phone number is 512-837-2000. But definitely give us a call and we can help you compare and contrast some of those devices. And again, we can put you in touch with a dealer in your area who can show you in person, because some of these, as excited as I get about talking about them online, in person, there's just nothing like trying a product in person in real life and seeing how it goes. So it looks like that's all of our questions for today. I'm going to go ahead and close this webinar. Definitely encourage you to sign up for our next webinar, or just keep an eye out. All of our webinars, as we think them up and as we schedule them, are going to be listed on our website at www.hims-inc.com/webinars.